Georgia election interference case against former President Trump and 18 others. The judge has severed the cases of 2 of those defendants who will now be tried separately from the former president and the rest of the group. Prosecutors say they'll also hand over the names of 30 unindicted co-conspirators to defense counsel for all 19 co-defendants. I want to bring in ABC News editorial producer John Santucci and ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer for more. John, as you were watching, you were saying this is not a good day for the Fulton County DA.
Bad. I mean, Fani Willis wasn't there, but you got to imagine, Diane, she's throwing things against the wall based on this hearing.
Meanwhile,
people say privately all the time and not on TV all very often, something really bad is going to happen. Okay, shit's about to hit the fan in this country.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about some good news that is flying under the radar for former President Donald Trump, who Democrats are hell-bent on trying to keep him from becoming president of the United States again. This is why he has 4 indictments against him. Now, one of the indictments, specifically the indictment out of Fulton County, Georgia, being led by woke DA, Miss Fani Willis, she has taken a massive L in her RICO case against Trump and about 19 to 20 other co-defendants, okay? The case involving the alleged attempt to change the election results in Georgia, okay? Yeah, Fani Willis is taking a massive L as she has been dead set on trying to make this a show trial, right? She's trying to embarrass former President Trump on the national stage because the trial presumably is going to be televised, and she has tried to essentially make this trial as speedy as possible. She wants to go ahead and get in court and start making her case and to have Trump convicted and in jail before the 2024 election, okay? It's all a part of the grand scheme to try to affect the outcome of the 2024 election. This is what they want to do. However, again, she got bad news, okay? As a Superior Court judge by the name of Mr. Scott McAfee heard motions last week from the attorneys for Trump co-defendants, Kenneth, Chesebro, and Sidney Powell, who wanted their clients' trials severed from other 17 co-defendants by invoking the speedy trial law. So basically, the judge ruled in favor of these co-defendants, basically saying, yeah, those trials would be severed, okay, and they would commence in October, which basically guarantees that Trump's trial is not going to take place in October. It's going to take place at a much later date, which gives Trump a huge strategic advantage in regards to being able to see the prosecutor's arguments in the case that they're going to bring against some of these other co-defendants first before having to go to court and defend themselves, okay? Which, again, is a massive advantage for Trump. It's such a massive advantage that even the mainstream liberal media outlets like ABC and CNN are admitting just how much of a massive advantage this is for Trump and just how much of an L this is for Fani Willis. Take a look.
This news. So I'm just, Elliot, just straight to you. Now there are going to be 2 separate trials. One, what does that mean for the timing of all this? Does that mean that Trump's trial, which is the one that a lot of people are waiting for, will go after this, and we will see, they will be able to watch all of this unfold?
Yeah, so first of all, this is major news. This means we're going to have at least 2 separate trial groups, at least 2. First one, Chesebro and Sidney Powell, currently scheduled for late October. I put a question mark on whether we're actually going to see a trial in October. And then a later group, the other 17 defendants, which very importantly includes Donald Trump. This means 2 big things to me as a practical matter. One, Donald Trump's trial in Georgia, the one that will be televised, is way far out. I think very likely to be pushed past the 2024 election, after the 2024 election. The second thing is this is a big strategic and tactical advantage for Donald Trump and those other 16, because you know what they get to do now? They get to sit in the gallery and watch the whole earlier trial. They get to see every government witness. They get to see all the cross-examination, all the documents, and make notes and adjust accordingly. So big positive development for Donald Trump and the other 16 here. I don't think it counts.
Georgia election interference case against former President Trump and 18 others. The judge has severed the cases of 2 of those defendants who will now be tried separately from the former president and the rest of the group. Prosecutors say they'll also hand over the names of 30 unindicted co-conspirators to defense counsel for all 19 co-defendants. I want to bring in ABC News editorial producer John Santucci and ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer for more. John, as you were watching, you were saying this is not a good day for the Fulton County DA.
Bad. I mean, Fani Willis wasn't there, but you got to imagine, Diane, she's throwing things against the wall based on this hearing. So let's start where you just began. So first, the team for the the prosecutors down there had been arguing, keep everybody together, keep all 19, because really what we learned today, we're going to have a show this fall, and then we're going to have a repeat performance next spring, which makes it incredibly difficult for prosecutors. A great win for Donald Trump and others that did not want to be part of this speedy trial case. I can tell you, sitting here with you, just texting with some of the attorneys involved in the other defendants, celebrating. Yay, victory. This is everything they wanted, was to take more time and slow this down. What's interesting, though, this ruling by the judge about unsealing the 30 unindicted co-conspirators, it's fascinating that you then saw prosecutors jump in. So, well, wait a second. If you're going to share this with everybody, give a protective order. It's duplicative to what we've seen in the other cases of the former president, both the special counsel cases and the Manhattan case. Put gag orders, don't talk, because one of the things, Diane, that we've seen that the courts and prosecutors in all four of these cases involving the former president are extremely concerned about is witness intimidation. And it's not so much even Donald Trump and his team going after anybody, but look at what we saw after Fulton County and that indictment and the names of the grand jurors that were involved there. Those people came out and told ABC News and many other outlets that they were targeted, they were attacked, their homes constantly were getting visitors, phone calls. So this case is obviously high pressure, high intensity, but just to see real quickly there, even though the DA clearly lost, is, well, wait a second, got to protect these people and their identities.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Clearly a W for the president and his legal team for multiple reasons. One, again, it slows down the process. It gives the defense more time to prepare. Two, according to CNN's party pooper chief legal analyst, Elie Honig, that's what I'm going to start calling him, because he has really been a party pooper for the liberal media in regards to setting realistic expectations for what's going to happen with these Trump indictments and the trials and when they're going to happen. He's saying, look, this could push it back all the way till after the election. Now, if Trump's Georgia trial, the one that's televised, is pushed back to after the election, basically that's a huge deal, because that takes away a massive advantage for whoever the Democrat nominee is running for president. And the reason why I say that is because part of the Democrat strategy is to distract America with the Trump trials, right? And the Trump trial in Georgia will be televised. Presumably that will be the most televised trial in history, okay? I mean, everybody, the whole world is going to be watching it, okay? And that's, again, a huge advantage for Democrats because, one, you have the former president on trial and people are going to be able to hear both arguments, okay? And then two, if the president is convicted, then again, that could possibly damage Trump in the general election. However, I mean, we haven't really seen much evidence that these indictments or the political witch hunt against Trump is actually really negatively affecting him. But I'm just saying, if they push it back to after the election, then there's a chance that Trump probably may not ever really have to stand trial, because as president of the United States, it's hard to see the actual commander-in-chief having to stand trial, okay, in a local county court. I just don't see it happening. I really just don't see it happening. And again, this same legal analyst for CNN said the same thing, right? If Trump wins, then there's probably no way that this Georgia case is actually going to go anywhere, because again, this is the president of the United States, right? Like it's just not going to happen. So undoubtedly, again, this is a massive W for Trump and his legal team. And you best believe that the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media are in panic mode, okay? In the clip that you just saw, the guy was suggesting that the prosecutors seek gag orders against Trump, right? Because apparently Trump is dangerous, right? His Truth Social posts are so dangerous, okay? And that seems to be what Jack Smith thinks, okay, who is the prosecutor for the federal January 6th case against Trump. He has now went to a judge, a court, and asked for a, quote, narrow gag order on what Trump can say regarding the election case. Okay, so let's actually read a little bit about this, because you have MSNBC, Nicole Wallace. She's going to go into a full-blown meltdown over this gag order being issued because, again, she thinks that Trump is going to, I don't know, cause massive violence with his True Social post. So let's read here. Jack Smith, the special counsel prosecuting former President Donald Trump, asked U.S. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkan to place a, quote, narrow limit on what Trump can say publicly over concerns of witness intimidation. A new court filing unsealed Friday revealed. Quote, the defendant has an established practice of issuing inflammatory public statements targeted at individuals or institutions that present an obstacle or challenge to him, Smith wrote in the filing, making clear he believes Trump has launched a campaign to discredit the entire justice system ahead of his trial. Yeah, so again, Trump can't criticize them, right? Again, you know, the media, the judge, they can say whatever they want about Trump, but Trump can't defend himself, right? This is the country they want to live in, okay? Where conservatives are not allowed free speech to defend ourselves from, you know, political persecution, right? It's amazing. Trump has been charged in Washington, D.C. on 4 felony counts related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually play this clip of Nicole Wallace on MSNBC reacting to this because she's literally going to lose her mind over this. Take a look.
People say privately all the time and not on TV all very often, something really bad is going to happen. Okay, shit's about to hit the fan in this country. Fox News had to veer away from a lunatic spewing hatred and death threats for Democratic officials in New York because of the migrant caucus. Everyone is on, I don't even know the word. Everyone knows that we're walking into something hideous and no one will do anything. I refuse to believe that nothing can be done. These are people getting their information in part because of the vacuum being created by people with, I don't even know if we call it a spine anymore. That might be an insult to spines. But there are still people out there with followings. He can go out and here's what I want to ask you. When something happens, what do you want to be able to tell your kids and grandkids you did? You good with nothing? You good with, I didn't do anything because I didn't think anyone would listen to me. Trump tweeted something mean about me someday. Because you did something. I tried to do something. Where are all of the Republicans who still have little slivers of a following in the cesspool that is the MAGA base?
Well, look, all of the red lights are blinking about what is about to happen. And I think that's what makes what Jack Smith is doing so important, because he's saying, okay, right now, you know, this is a stress test for the entire criminal justice system. Look, the Republicans are not going to step up. They are not going to raise their hands. We know that Mitch McConnell is not going to come out of his bunker and say what he said after January 6th. But what I think was so powerful about this document, which I've just skimmed, is the way that Jack Smith basically sounds all of those alarms and says, look, this is not just theoretical. Look what he has done in the past. Look what he is doing right now. You know, and I know that the word, gag order is going to be thrown around a lot. But what he's really saying is that Donald Trump needs to be held to the same standard of that any other criminal defendant would be held to, but also to alert the court to the extent of this campaign to discredit and attack and demean judges and jurors and prosecutors, to discredit the entire process. This is not just one trial among any. Donald Trump is not just one defendant among any. This is a former president of the United States who is prepared to call out the furies, who is prepared to stoke violence, to tell people, come, because it will be wild. And, again, with all of these red lights blinking, the silence that we've gotten used to, I think, becomes less defensible, because what happens in 2024 could be horrific. It is likely to be horrific. And all of the people that enabled it and rationalized it and looked the other way ought to be held to account in some way, at least in their conscience, if not politically.
Guys, you know what's funny about this? Okay, the hilarious part is that this is once again another double standard from the left. Okay, there's double standards all over the place. You remember all the noise that the leftists were making, okay, during the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and during the Derek Chauvin trial, where they were basically trying to pressure the jury to get the outcome that they wanted, right? You had the MSNBC person that got caught following the jury bus, right? Basically trying to dox them, okay, and trying to intimidate them because they wanted Kyle Rittenhouse to be convicted. You guys remember all that? Again, that didn't happen too long ago. You guys remember Maxine Waters doing an interview outside of the Derek Chauvin trial, demanding that he be found guilty or else, right? They're going to get in people's faces. They're going to do more BLM type riots and vandalism and destruction. You guys remember that? Where was the left-wing media when these people were undermining our judicial system? Where was the left-wing media? Oh, they were supporting it, right? They were supporting it. They was like, oh, that's totally fine, okay, right? That's free speech, okay? Maxine Waters has the free speech to try to intimidate jurors, right? But Trump doesn't have free speech to say what he wants to say on Truth Social about a political persecution. Again, it's amazing how it's free speech for me, but not free speech for thee, right? We don't believe in free speech that we disagree with politically. It's amazing how that works. First and foremost, Trump is not a threat, okay? We're talking about a threat of violence. And see, this is why I really loathe the fact that January 6th even happened in the first place, because like I've always said, it gives the left an excuse to try to pretend that the biggest domestic terror threat to this country is Trump supporters or people on the right, when that's not true. The actual biggest domestic terror threat to this country are left-wing extremists, right? I mean, they've caused more political violence and destruction in this country than we've ever seen over the past few years. But yet, again, we're not talking about enough about the threat of left-wing extremism in our country. So again, I just find it to be hilarious how every single time Trump is indicted, every single time Trump has to show up to be arraigned or anything like that, or show up to the courts, these people are on edge as if there's some imminent attack and nothing ever happens, right? Nothing ever happens. The only thing they have is January 6th. And considering how the narrative on January 6th has changed, because we have reason to believe that it was a setup, they have nothing, right? They have absolutely nothing. But yeah, again, these people sit on edge, clenching in terror and fear that something's going to happen. Trump's going to make something really bad happen because of his Truth Social post. Right? They're on edge. And nothing ever happens. Again, that's the crazy part. But when their expectations of left-wing violence, like what happened after Roe v. Wade was overturned in the Supreme Court, that always happens, right? When there's expectations of right-wing violence, they get nothing. When there's expectations of left-wing violence, we get left-wing violence, right? It's just amazing how that works. But again, these people aren't clutching their pearls in fear of the next left-wing extremist attack, in which we see that the most in this country, right? That's a vast majority of the political violence. Again, these people are absolutely hilarious. They really are. It's getting to the point now where this stuff is just comedy. The judge is pretending that she's scared because she's a black woman and Trump's racist. Jack Smith is pretending like he's scared and, there's some type of imminent attack or threat against him. I mean, these people, they kill me with a lot of this BS. They really do. So, hey, again, win for Trump, W for Trump. Again, I'm loving the meltdowns from the media, okay, because it seems like with the more time that passes, that all of this that they thrown against Trump is ultimately just not going to work, right? The guy might end up cruising back into the White House because all this stuff was bought against him. That's the ironic part here. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.